The Grand Plaza Hotel lobby gleamed like polished gold under the morning sun. Businessmen in sharp suits rushed past, wealthy tourists trailed behind bellboys, and chandeliers sparkled above like frozen stars. And in the middle of this glittering palace of wealth, a young maid scrubbed the marble floor. Her name was Maya Brooks, 24 years old, a girl with dreams bigger than the walls of this hotel could ever contain. But at that moment, all anyone saw was the black and white uniform clinging to her slim frame and the bucket of soap water at her side. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. Rule number 1 in the hotel: no phones during work, especially not for the cleaning staff. But when Maya glanced at the screen, her heart froze. It was the university, the one she had prayed would call her, the one she had applied to 6 times for her master's scholarship in linguistics. 6 rejections, 6 heartbreaks. This call could change her life. She whispered to herself, "Just one moment, please, just this one." And, hiding behind a marble column, she answered. What happened next stunned everyone. The voice on the other end spoke in fluent Dutch. Without hesitation, Maya replied in perfect Dutch herself. Her accent flawless, her grammar impeccable, a maid speaking like a professor. The guests around her went silent, and from across the lobby, a tall man in a tailored navy suit stopped in his tracks. His name? Victor Harrington, billionaire hotel owner. His piercing blue eyes fixed on Maya, his jaw set in disbelief. And right beside him stood Eleanor Hayes, the hotel manager. Her face burned red with fury. A maid, on her phone, in the middle of the lobby, breaking every rule. "Brooks, in my office, now." Eleanor's voice cut like a whip. But Victor Harrington's eyes didn't leave Maya. He had just seen something no one else had. And that single look would change Maya's destiny forever. If you believe no one should be judged by their uniform or their skin, hit subscribe and like this video right now, because what comes next will shake your heart. But what happened next, no one could have imagined. Maya Brooks had never belonged in the world of wealth and chandeliers. She grew up in a small neighborhood, the daughter of immigrants who worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. From a young age, Maya had one gift that set her apart: language. She could mimic accents after hearing them only once. She devoured books, dictionaries, online courses, anything she could get for free. By the time she was 20, she could speak English, French, Dutch, Spanish, and was learning German. Her dream? To study linguistics in Amsterdam, to turn her gift into a profession, to prove that brilliance could come from anywhere, even from the daughter of a hotel janitor. But dreams don't pay tuition. Every application required money she didn't have. Every rejection letter carved deeper into her heart. Still, she refused to give up. Now, she worked at the Grand Plaza Hotel, scrubbing floors, cleaning rooms where people dropped tips smaller than the cost of her bus ride home, and always under the watchful eye of Eleanor Hayes, the manager who seemed to enjoy reminding Maya of her place. Eleanor was ruthless. If a glass wasn't polished enough, she shouted. If a guest complained, she humiliated the staff in front of everyone. And Maya, with her quiet resilience, became her favorite target. But Maya never answered back. She swallowed every insult because she had a bigger fight outside these walls, her fight to earn a future. That morning, when the university call finally came through, she couldn't resist. She hid behind the marble column, heart racing, as Dr. Willem de Vries spoke in Dutch. Her reply flowed like water. Confident, intelligent, musical. And for a brief moment, Maya forgot she was just a maid. She was herself again, a scholar, a dreamer, a woman of languages. But the silence in the lobby reminded her of reality. Dozens of eyes had turned, and at the center of them all stood two figures: Eleanor, face twisted with anger, and Victor Harrington, staring as though he had just discovered a hidden diamond. Maya quickly ended the call. Ik bel u later. Dank u wel, professor. She tucked the phone away, her hands trembling. Eleanor's voice rang out, sharp and merciless. Brooks, my office, now. But Victor Harrington's slow, thoughtful gaze lingered, and Maya didn't yet know it, but her life had already begun to change. Maya sat stiffly in the small, airless office. The blinds were half closed, and the faint hum of the lobby felt miles away. In front of her, Eleanor Hayes paced, like a lioness preparing to strike. "You think you're clever, don't you?" Eleanor's voice was sharp, cutting through the silence. "Answering your phone in the middle of the lobby, as if you were someone important? And that ridiculous language you were spouting. What was that? Pretend gibberish to impress the guests?" Maya swallowed, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "It was Dutch, ma'am. The university—" Eleanor slammed her palm down on the desk. "I don't care what it was. Rules are rules. You are here to clean floors, not to show off. You embarrassed this hotel. You embarrassed me." Her words stung, but Maya kept her gaze low. She couldn't afford to lose this job. Rent depended on it. Her mother's medicine depended on it. "You'll write an apology," Eleanor continued coldly, "and from now on, if I so much as hear a buzz from your phone during work, you're gone. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am," Maya whispered. But as she left the office, her heart pounded with something stronger than fear. She had tasted her dream again in that brief phone call. Dutch flowing from her lips, a professor recognizing her potential. She couldn't let Eleanor's cruelty take that away. Yet Eleanor wasn't done. The next morning, during the staff briefing, Eleanor made sure to strike. "All right, everyone," she barked, clipboard in hand. "I want spotless rooms today. No mistakes. And unlike some people, we're here to serve, not to play telephone games." The staff exchanged nervous glances. Maya kept her head down. "Oh, and Maya," she said, her voice sugar-coated with false sweetness. "Maybe you can teach us all some of that, what was it, Dutch? Let's hear it. Say something in your little maid language." A ripple of laughter spread among the staff. Maya's cheeks burned. She tried to remain calm. "It's not a maid language, ma'am. It's Dutch, and it is spoken by millions of people." Eleanor smirked. "Oh, how precious. Millions of people," she says. "Well, isn't it a pity none of them are staying in this hotel? Because unless they need their toilets scrubbed, I doubt your little skill will ever be useful." The laughter grew louder. Maya's throat tightened, but she forced herself not to cry. She wanted to scream that she was more than a uniform, that she was intelligent, that she had dreams. But she said nothing. Instead, she picked up her cart and walked out, her dignity barely intact. And as she left, Eleanor's voice followed her like a shadow. "Don't forget, Brooks, you're replaceable." But what came next was even worse. 2 days later, Maya was polishing the grand staircase, her arms aching from hours of scrubbing. Guests passed by in elegant gowns and designer suits, barely sparing her a glance. She was invisible until Eleanor struck again. Brooks! Eleanor's heels clicked sharply against the marble as she descended toward her. What is this? She pointed at a faint streak on the banister. You call this clean? I just polished it, ma'am. Oh, did you? Well, maybe you can explain to our guests why their five-star hotel looks like a second-rate inn. She raised her voice deliberately. Heads turned. A couple paused, watching with curiosity. Maya's chest tightened. She hated attention, especially like this. Go on, Brooks, Eleanor sneered. Tell them how your university education trained you to polish banisters. In Dutch, maybe? Perhaps they'll clap for you. The couple chuckled uncomfortably. Maya's eyes stung. I'm sorry, ma'am, she whispered. Eleanor leaned in, her voice a hiss only Maya could hear. That's all you'll ever be, Maya. Sorry. Sorry for being late. Sorry for making mistakes. Sorry for thinking you're better than what you are. You're nothing but a maid. The words sliced deep. Maya bit her lip until she tasted blood, fighting the tears threatening to spill. And then Eleanor, satisfied with the humiliation, straightened her jacket and turned away, leaving Maya crumpled inside. But in the corner of the lobby, someone had seen everything. Victor Harrington, silent as ever, his eyes unreadable. And what he did next would surprise everyone. The breaking point came on a Saturday evening when the hotel buzzed with wealthy guests arriving for a gala. Maya was assigned to clear the lobby of stray glasses and napkins. That was when chaos erupted. Where is it? A guest shouted. A tall man in tuxedo waved his wrist angrily. My watch! It's gone! Within seconds, Eleanor appeared. What seems to be the problem, sir? My Rolex. I left it here on the side table. Now it's missing. And he pointed straight at Maya. She was the only one near it. Maya froze, her heart dropping to her stomach. No, I didn't. Eleanor's eyes gleamed with cruel triumph. Is that so, Brooks? Empty your pockets. Gasps rippled through the lobby. Guests craned their necks. Staff stopped in their tracks. The humiliation was unbearable. I didn't take it, Maya cried, her voice trembling. Then prove it, Eleanor said coldly. Empty them, now. With shaking hands, Maya turned her pockets inside out. A crumpled tissue, a small notepad, her keycard, nothing more. Still, the whispers spread like wildfire. The maid stole it. How typical. Maya's knees nearly buckled under the weight of their stares. Tears welled up, but she forced herself to stand tall. And then, just as the silence grew suffocating, excuse me. The voice was deep, steady, commanding. All heads turned. Victor Harrington stepped forward, his presence like a storm breaking the air. His blue eyes blazed with quiet fury as he looked first at Eleanor, then at Maya. Enough. The word sliced through the tension. Eleanor stiffened. Victor's gaze lingered on Maya. This ends now. What he revealed in that moment would turn the entire hotel upside down. The lobby of the Grand Plaza Hotel had never been so silent. Dozens of guests stood frozen, their whispers still echoing like a swarm of bees. All eyes locked on the scene unfolding. A young maid accused of theft, her pockets turned inside out, tears clinging to her lashes, and a billionaire stepping forward to intervene. Victor Harrington's polished shoes clicked against the marble floor as he closed the distance between himself, Maya, and Eleanor. His towering frame radiated quiet authority. the kind that made even the wealthiest guests shrink in their seats. "I said enough," Victor repeated, his voice low but unshakable. Eleanor stiffened. "Sir, I was simply—" "You were humiliating her," Victor cut in, his eyes like ice. "In front of every guest, without proof. That's not hotel management. That's cruelty." A murmur ran through the crowd. Eleanor's face flushed crimson. But the guest's watch was found." Victor reached into his suit pocket and held up the glittering Rolex. Gasps erupted around them. One of the bellboys just turned it in. It had slipped between the cushions of the lounge chair, which means this young woman, he turned to Maya, his gaze softening, was innocent all along. The color drained from Eleanor's face. Her lips moved, but no words came out. Maya was frozen, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Relief washed over her, but also confusion. Why was Victor defending her? The billionaire's eyes met hers. "Maya Brooks," he said clearly, so that every person in the room heard her name. "You don't deserve this treatment. Not today. Not ever." Whispers rippled. The maid had a name. A story. A dignity they had all overlooked. Eleanor, desperate to regain control, snapped, "Sir, with all respect, she broke protocol. She answered her phone in the lobby, in uniform, in front of guests. It's unacceptable." Victor's gaze hardened. "Unacceptable? You call it unacceptable that an employee answered a call from a world-class university, that she spoke fluent Dutch in front of me with more intelligence and grace than half the executives I've met?" Gasps spread through the lobby. "Dutch? A maid?" Maya's eyes widened. He had heard? Victor turned to the guests, his voice rising with controlled fire. "What most of you don't know is that this young woman has applied 6 times for a scholarship to study linguistics in Amsterdam. 6 times, rejected because of paperwork delays and bureaucracy. I know this because after overhearing her conversation, I contacted Dr. Willem de Vries myself. And do you know what he told me? That Maya Brooks is one of the brightest applicants they have ever seen." Maya's breath caught in her throat. The professor had said that? Victor's tone softened, though his eyes still blazed. And yet, instead of being celebrated for her gift, she's been mocked, belittled, and accused in her own workplace, all because she wears a uniform that others think defines her. The silence in the lobby grew heavy, charged. Guests shifted uncomfortably. Some looked at Maya with new eyes, others lowered their gaze in shame. Victor turned back to Eleanor. "You should be ashamed. A manager's job is to lift people up, not grind them down. Today, you failed this hotel, and you failed me." Eleanor's lips trembled. "Sir, please, You are dismissed." The words were final, cold as steel. "Hand in your badge. Security will escort you out." Gasps erupted. Eleanor's face twisted in disbelief. "You can't!" "I can, and I just did." 2 security guards stepped forward. Eleanor tried to protest, but her words dissolved into frantic stammers. Within moments, she was gone. Her reign of cruelty ended in front of the very people she had once commanded. Victor then faced Maya, his voice gentler now. "You don't belong on your knees scrubbing marble, Maya. You belong in a classroom, in Amsterdam, shaping the future of linguistics. That's why, starting today, I'm sponsoring your scholarship. Full tuition, travel, expenses. Everything." The words seemed too big to fit into her ears. She blinked rapidly, tears streaming freely down her cheeks. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll accept," Victor said simply. "Say you'll never let anyone convince you that you're less than extraordinary." The guests erupted in applause. Some clapped timidly, others with thunderous enthusiasm. Maya stood in the center of it all, trembling, overwhelmed, her world spinning. For years she had been invisible, a shadow in a maid's uniform. But now She was seen, she was heard, she was valued. Her voice cracked, but it was steady. Yes, I accept. And in that instant, the marble floor beneath her feet no longer felt like a prison. It felt like the first step towards freedom. But the story didn't end there, because what Maya did with her second chance would inspire everyone who heard. Weeks later, Maya stood at the airport, her suitcase beside her, boarding pass in hand. The loudspeaker announced the final call for her flight to Amsterdam. She glanced around one last time, soaking in the life she was leaving behind. The hotel lobby, the uniforms, the endless cycle of invisibility. Then her phone buzzed. It was a message from Victor. Remember, you don't just speak Dutch. You speak the language of perseverance. Never forget that. Maya pressed the phone to her chest, tears of gratitude filling her eyes. With a deep breath, she walked toward the gate, her steps lighter than they had ever been. As the plane lifted into the sky, she gazed out the window, the city shrinking beneath her. A maid no longer. A scholar, a dreamer, a survivor. And far below, in the marble lobby of the Grand Plaza, guests and staff would forever remember the moment when a young woman in a simple uniform proved that brilliance often hides in plain sight. This story reminds us of a powerful truth. Talent knows no uniform, no job title, no social rank. Greatness can come from anyone, anywhere. All it takes is one moment of recognition, one person to believe, and the courage to seize the chance. Because sometimes the maid scrubbing the floor may be the next great mind who changes the world.